So, being helpful as opposed to being harmful. And so, thank you for checking out the videos. I really appreciate it. If you're not already, and yeah, I'm trying to solicit like crazy, hit the like button and or subscribe. I really appreciate it. It helps the channel grow a lot. And so, as I'm at the thrift store, which yes, I was, and as we all know, it's probably one of my favorite places to be. I like the atmosphere, the people are pretty cool, and definitely the stuff is obvi why I'm there. And so I dropped off a package at the post office, so happens to be next to a thrift store, went on in and I encountered my buddy Jerry, okay? And so Jerry is applicable to this situation in that I was presented with the moral question of whether or not I should be helpful and or harmful. And so, yes, sometimes I am convinced that as human beings, we judge things in this manner. We're kind of like, hey, I'm feeling this kind of a way, so I might just act in accordance. And, most of the time I'd say it's pretty unfortunate in that I feel like we take a lot of our own problems out on other people. And so to get back to my social dilemma here, right? I'm bringing Jerry into the situation to kind of preface. Jerry is this older dude who I met about a year ago because I've frequented this particular thrift store near our apartment for a number of years. And so anytime, there's a new daily there, a person that's there every day as a reseller, you notice these kinds of things. I mean, just because common places that most people don't go to the store and to the same store every single day, right? Like, unless there's a reason. And most of the time, the reason isn't unlimited amounts of money. So, if we know that, like, if you see somebody at the thrift store every day, they're probably reselling too. And so that's how I met Jerry, is from seeing him in the store every day. And he actually sources his items. I know this is a sidebar, but it's a good sidebar, and I'm saying good things about Jerry here. And so Jerry would source his video games near where I get the VHS tapes. So long story short, I encounter Jerry, and I'm a friendly dude, so at some point I strike up a conversation and find out that yes, he is in fact a reseller. He has an eBay store. He's new to the area. It's a pretty big eBay store. And so immediately, right, the competition sort of like kicks in me, because it's like, as in anything in life, sort of what you do, right, for a living. And when you're sourcing items at a thrift store, sometimes it can be competitive in that, you're competing with other people who want the same items to do the exact same thing. And so at first, that was kind of the sentiment, right? And immediately I could tell from Jerry's perspective and my opinion that he was a little put off, kind of, in that he also understood that he was meeting another person that sold things and that would likely get the same items that he would. And so it's just common courtesy. And again, being helpful or harmful in that situation, even back then, I wanted to be helpful in that I wanted to strike up the conversation, perhaps network with the guy. So as opposed to competing, on an outright kind of a level, it's sort of like, be on the team, when we got to compete, we'll do what we have to do. But when we're here in the same area, it's kind of understood that I'm not going to look at the video games and you're not going to look at the tapes. This is very simple. And so I know it's kind of complicated and all these things going on, and it's just my assumptions, right, based on actions and my experience with these types of things. And so today I was looking at some stuff and I saw Jerry, and, immediately we become friends once more, and we're talking and stuff, and I had seen some items that he sells, right, namely toys, to be specific. And I also sell toys, and I'm in the thrift store. I only got a few bucks, right? I'm in there, I'm buying a couple tapes, they're $1 a piece. And so instead of telling myself, right, like, I could be, this type of way and not tell this dude that sells the same products that there's a bunch of good toys over here that he can make a couple hundred extra bucks on right now if he goes and buys them. And I could just, like, knowing that information and excluding it from him would have made me felt weird, right? It would have made me felt more like I'm being harmful than helpful. And after a lot of thinking about it, I was like, so I tell the dude, I'm like, dude, there's a bunch of stuff over there. And again, in that moment, and I know this is like a really simple thing to get across to everybody, but it's really the little things in life. And oftentimes it can be put into sort of this really simple question, and it's whether or not you're being helpful or harmful. And more importantly than that, why you're being either of two to begin with, right? Because oftentimes, again, I'd argue that when we're feeling selfish in an egotistical way that only benefits our own needs and or wants in that immediate sort of moment, I think it's really important to, even if we need a few seconds to, again, assess the question. And I often find that as human beings, we're likely to be helpful. And I think that we feel better when we're helpful because it's the right thing to do. And, we feel a certain kind of way and keep that baggage with us if we continue to sort of just only look out for ourselves. And as it is, I prefer to be helpful. And so being helpful or harmful, ask yourself which one you want to be, and again, which one is going to be better for you, even if it's abject selfishness. And you understand that by you being good in that moment, you also expect sort of the same treatment from people. It's kind of like a revolving door, and you kind of get what you put into, like when you're out there IRL. And that's what I think. And so again, helpful or harmful, I think you should be helpful.